Man, it's been a long time since I've seen you. This welding table, I had to dig it out of cold storage. I haven't seen this thing in a long time. But you know what that means? It means it's time to get a welding project down. So, welcome back everyone. This time I thought we'd take on a little bit different of a project while we're waiting for the molly pouches to get here. They're taking quite a long time. It's been 2.5 weeks and they're still not here yet. It's just the nature of everything today. So let's get on today's project. What we're going to do is we're going to weld up a mount. What I have is I got me a set of these little Baofeng UV5R radios. They're pretty nice. I kind of like them. They're not the best radios out there, but you know, for the price, they're right. I'll say that, and I really like them. But one thing I wanted to do is I want a way to mount this inside the Jeep, inside my vehicle, and there really is there's not a whole lot out there that I like. So I thought, why don't we pull the welding table out and we'll just weld ourselves a little mount, a little cradle together, and see what we can come up with. And we'll tie that into a future video where we hard mount this inside the Jeep and do some pretty unique things to it to make it a pretty nice little radio. So let's get into it. Let's get all set up here and I'll show you kind of what I have in mind and we'll see what happens. All right. So let's go over here. Let's kind of start drawing up a plan. But before we do, I just want to explain what I'm thinking about in my head, and then we'll make it and see what happens. But essentially, I was really racking my brain hard on how to mount this thing. I looked all over the place. I didn't really see anything I liked. Everything just seemed odd. You could like hold it, but then you can't put an extended battery on there. Or some people glue things to the back of here or bolt it in here, and that works, I guess. But it just didn't make sense to me. I want this thing to be able to go into my vehicle, clip in, and then unclip, much like you would have something like a phone cradle, you know, where you can just pull it in and pull it out when you want it. You don't have to sit there and unscrew things or undo things and mess with it. I want to keep it portable, but I also want it mountable, if that makes sense. So here's what I thought. This radio, these radios actually, they have like this little hook for a pocket clip here. And I thought, well, that's actually pretty nice. If you were to put a piece of metal here with a slit, that hook would just grab right on there and not allow the radio to come jumping off. Then, if we brought a piece of metal up on the sides, like 2 tangs or something, we could actually make ourselves a little cradle. And, you know, out of metal, that'd be a little nice cradle. It would hold and everything. But the other problem was, how do I mount it? Well, I thought about that too. We're going to come off the back and make a box here and enclose this whole back piece. Now you'll still be able to slip it in from the top and the bottom and everything like that, but by creating a false back here, what we can do is we can drill 2 holes in it or whatever and mount something like a ram mount to the back of this thing, and now you'd have a little cradle for your radio that's bolted to a ram mount, and then the ram mount, of course, you know, you can attach to anything, a windshield, a door panel, whatever you want. Dash, I guess you could glue it to something if you really wanted to, and then, you know, you can move the ram mount around. But I thought that'd be really nice. I just didn't see anything out there like that. So let's just start drawing on here and see what happens. So I don't think I want it any. I don't want it too much bigger. So let's just. We'll just draw this like this. It's a good thing I don't get paid for my my drawing skills here. I'd be severely underpaid. So that's great. We have that design. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that, but then what we can do is we can take that, transfer it to another piece of the plate down here, and just mimic the design, and we'll just add what we want for like the sidewalls, how thick we want the box to be, to the sides, and I think that'll work just perfectly. Also, these tangs, it's actually kind of smart. I was thinking about it. I don't have to cut little pieces out and weld them together. I can just hit it with a grinder. We can bend them, and then I can put a few tacks on them, and that will surely make it strong enough. This plate is honestly way too thick for this. It's 12 gauge steel, so you know, it's going to be a little harder to work with, but because of that, it'll definitely hold this radio for sure. It won't break. So I think that's what we need to do. The only other thing is I have to figure out how far down to make that slit. It's probably right about there, it looks like. So okay, there's our basic layout. We'll make this straight and cut it back and everything, and then mark out that slit is, which again we think is right about there. And we'll just put a little hole there and see what happens. Man, I am way out of practice on this stuff. It's been a while since I've done anything like this. So we need to go ahead and deburr everything and clean it all up. But first, let's get the basic shape down and kind of get things tacked if we can. Make sure all the parts we have are going to work. So I'm going to bend these up, and hopefully I cut deep enough there with the grinder to make this work. We'll see. Hopefully we didn't make this too small. Almost looks like the distance between here and here is too small. But that's okay. We're in prototype territory. There we go. I think that's going to be it. Clearly I got these lines nice and straight, right? Yeah. All right. That is definitely going to need some tweaking and some cleaning up, but if we did it right, we should be able to weld it just like that and create our little box, and then do our little slit. Definitely needs a little cleanup though, a little adjusting here and there, that's for sure. So it occurred to me as I touched this with the grinder, I'm not going to be able to grind that slit out we need for the hook on the radio to hook in here, because if I do, I'm going to grind this whole base off essentially, and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a small drill bit, and we're just going to drill a series of holes all the way around here, punch it out, and then we'll clean it up with a file. Assuming I can get the drill bit to hold. Let's see if this will work here. There we go. All right, now we get to spend a few hours filing. Okay, maybe this guy will do it. I think that's just gonna about do the trick. Just gonna go ahead and hand file all this stuff real quick and get it all nice and neat before we weld it together. Well, I guess we're not finishing this project tonight. The batteries in my welding helmet are dead. And come to think of it, this is the first time I've ever had to replace them, so I don't have any on hand. They're like 2450 cells. I took it all apart so I could see if I had batteries to fix it, and I don't. So I'll grab some more batteries and I'll grab some spares so this doesn't happen to me again. I just kind of like doing that. But here it is. Here's what we got so far. You can see the little hole I'm talking about back here, so we can put some holes in it and mount different things. And there's our little ears here to keep the radio from wobbling side to side. I think I'm actually going to grind these or cut these in a circle or something, make them a little more attractive, a little less sharp. And then we have our hole. We have our little hole right here. And honestly, I might fill this in a little bit. I think we made it just a touch too big. There's a little bit of a slop in there on the radio. So we could also just cover this in foam, and that might help the radio from bouncing around a little bit. Doesn't bounce around a lot, but it does bounce around some, and I just, some of you will know I hate rattles, and I don't want it to rattle. So we'll fix that. Plus, maybe by the time I get the batteries for the welding helmet, the ram mount and everything will come, so we can mount the entire thing. We can finish welding it, clean it all up, finish welding it, paint it, and then get the ram mount that I have in mind mounted to it, and then we can do the whole thing, get the whole thing in the Jeep at one time, so you can take a look at really what I had in mind with it. So sorry about that. Wish we can complete it. Just can't weld without batteries in my welding helmet, I guess. Such is life. Anyway, thank you for watching, friends. We'll see you next video.